Technology. Yeah. Yeah.
Madam Chairman, you're live.
Okay, I want to say thank you to everyone showing tonight. This is Parks and Recreation Board, February 5th, 2025, and we'll call to order at 6:03. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do we have any public comment on any items that are not included in this agenda? Yes, Ms. Wishman.
Yes. Liz?
Speak at the mic.
I'm Liz Wishman, and I am representing a group from the Big Sky Big Leadership. And we have a small group that's looking at redoing the tennis courts. We're doing some research on it, trying to figure out the best plan of action, if it's worth it. Extremely expensive, so we're looking at a course of action. And it's looking like we will probably want to resurface the existing courts for this year, fill the cracks, and then very probably dig down 3 feet, put concrete floor in it. And so we're looking at one of the bids was $235,000, and we have to take out the floor and do some of the initial work ourselves. The other one was, I think, $410,000, and they did it all. It's crazy how much this costs. But we have a group that's committed, and we are looking at pushing forward on that. We talked to the city their last meeting. They were receptive. They were excited about letting us get started on it. So I just wanted to be here to introduce myself and introduce the project. Do we need your blessing? I don't know for sure what the first steps are, I guess.
No, we're a Pure County Board, and that's a Pure City Park.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you just need the city's permission to do any changes on the park. I mean, if you need a letter of support, we could probably take a motion to do that. And if you need that letter of support for any grants that you might go after.
Very probably will, yeah.
Okay.
We will need to visit with you and yes, have your support, look at any possible financial help, different things like that. Any guidance is definitely going to be appreciated.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We can't vote on that tonight.
No, we
No,
cannot.
yeah.
But we can definitely talk about it. How soon are you guys doing it? Sorry, excuse me, Madam Chair.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't know the timeline, but what we would like to do is at least fill the cracks this year. And if we do that, it will last a couple of years for them to at least practice. But to do the full project, it's either going to be this summer or next. Of course, the grant writing takes a little while to get it processed. So we would love to have it done by midsummer, but I don't know if the timeline is long enough. So we're all just kind of getting started on it.
But there
Okay.
would be time enough to go back to the next meeting and
Right.
discuss
We
it.
can
and
we can
provide-
definitely discuss a letter of recommendation. We don't have any funding that could help
Okay.
in that sense. That's yeah, you'll have to go after the grants best you can. I would suggest you get a hold of Stacy Summers. She knows how to write those grants.
She's already involved, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
John Hahn, Jeff Longlinay. We have Gord Pierce, Alex Potter, and Lauren McLaughlin on my
Yes,
team as well
good
as
group,
me.
good
so,
group.
We've got some really driven people.
You
so.
do. You have some good go-getters, and they have great experience with
Yes.
it as well. And I know Jeff Langlenay, with the connections to the Rotary. Obviously, Rotary's got some money as well, and we've helped with some of the parks and the playground that we sponsored for that $10,000 for both playgrounds at Heritage as well as McCarthy. So
Right.
something to look at.
Okay.
But get your proposal together and let us know if you need a letter of support, and we'll take a motion on that, okay?
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for coming
Thank you.
tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions for Liz?
Not right this second, no.
What's that?
No, not right this second, no, no questions.
Do you know how much the just refilling the cracks is going to be this summer or for this year?
It's going to be somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000, so we're kind of going towards 7,000 to make sure that we have enough.
Sure.
And there is some local money that we likely may ask for on that so that we can get the initial stage of it done, and then we can push for the other outside grants. So, okay,
Okay. Well,
deal.
thank you for coming.
thank you. I am
Appreciate it.
triple booked, so I am going to excuse myself.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other items, public comment on anything not on the agenda? Okay. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from December 16th, which should be your second page.
I wasn't here for for the meeting, so if you want to
Just in case we need a camera.
go over the minutes.
Yeah, I
Make sure they're
did
good.
earlier. I'm fine.
Jerry, I joined on my laptop just in case we need a camera.
Got it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
There's extra page statements we have. Looks good. You want to
Motion.
make the motion?
Yes, a motion to finalize the minutes from the last meeting.
And I will second that motion.
Okay. Motion made and seconded, and those in favor obviously are aye because you've made it and seconded, so motion, minutes are passed. Okay, let's talk about the master plan. I think I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Jerry.
Sounds good. Can you see the survey?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I think Kevin would agree, like, you guys knocked it out of the park with 500 survey results, so that's amazing. So,
Now, Jerry, was this just this survey, or was it the one that in December as well? Did you combine the numbers?
yes,
Okay.
it's the combined numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Nonetheless, 500 is still amazing, so.
That's pretty awesome.
I want to thank the group for the push,
Yeah.
especially for getting out there at the different events and as well as getting it out on our listservs and our personal contacts. So thank you for that. Okay, Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll just scroll through it, and kudos to Kevin. Kevin put together the PowerPoint and the PDF today, so.
Thank you, Kevin.
So I'm just going to scroll through. I think what stood out to me is that 35 to 44-year-old range, and 25 to 35, it ended up like over 33% of the respondents. That's pretty good because all too often your respondents are at the higher end of the age bracket almost all the time. So. A lot of folks in both the city and the county, obviously a majority in the county. And then this question number 3, what types of rec development does the county want most? Top 3, open spaces, walking paths, indoor multi-use courts, and then you've got multi-use recreational fields.
Yeah. It kind of tracks with what we had on the recreation survey before. Okay.
Yeah. And then as far as needs go, walking, hiking, health, fitness, outdoor, recreation stood out.
Mhm.
And then as far as planning for our priorities, planning and facilitating for the county recreation properties, and then maintenance of facilities. Maintenance, that's always a big one. And it's actually encouraging that people made it that high of a priority. All too often folks forget that you can build a facility, but you gotta take care of it.
Yes.
And stop me at any time if something jumps out or folks on the board want to talk about any of the results. So.
Well, Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
I think, Jerry, I think it's interesting because as Liz Wishman was just saying, they're trying to fix those tennis courts, right? So we've got courts, they need fixed. So I can understand why people are like, okay, we want new stuff, but we're not even necessarily maintaining the older stuff.
Yeah.
At, at a level that it needs to be maintained. And again, that's city, but still.
Well, and that's what we ran into with the playgrounds.
Right.
I mean, they were 1957,
Mhm.
and they were falling apart. So the citizens took it upon themselves, which I think is great. It's a great show of support from the community, but it also highlights, I think, the necessity for planning for that maintenance up front when we build these. So
The long term, not just a short term maintenance plan, a long term
Right.
maintenance plan.
Yep.
right.
Question 6 is on the Rod and Gun Club, and as you can see, overwhelmingly, folks think that the lease should be renewed.
That's got to be a good thing, right, Brad? we have the president of the Rod and Gun Club is here, Jerry.
Nice. And then question 7 is comments, and I won't go through all of them because we got 1, 2, 3, 4 pages.
Whoa, that was a lot.
So were any of these grouped together, Jerry, or are these all the actual comments themselves quoted?
They're the actual comments themselves.
Okay.
Kevin and I could make a word cloud, something like that, if you want that sort of thing.
I don't know if that's necessary to spend.
No,
time
I
on.
think that,
It'd be good to, we'll have, just to take some time to read and go through.
I have I didn't read through all of them, but I have a feeling there's probably some repeats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did read through all of them, and there were a lot of repeats.
And they are a combination, as Kevin would tell you, of the last round and this round. So you're going to see duplicates.
Okay.
They're just combined with the latest round of survey results. Any thoughts on the survey? I mean, did anything new jump up? I feel like it's
Oh, Jesus.
it's reflective of what you got the first time, but it just reinforces what the public was telling you.
right. I found it interesting that they were talking about they want the restrooms open year-round. And of course, this winter didn't even start until after Christmas, so the whole fall was there, but the restrooms were locked early by our, the parks. ADA walking paths. ADA.
I don't need it.
Indoor recreation facilities. How many times have we heard that?
Indoor recreation.
Yeah, it's long winters.
Yeah.
Well, the school can't meet all those needs.
No,
it's-
it's like we were talking earlier today. it'd be great, yeah. I mean, if you had a YMCA that would just plop down right here, but we don't meet the population requirements
No,
for
to
that.
support it.
So, and I see it, again, like with the 5th day program, kids are in a 4-day school week. Like it would be great if they had a place to go on the 5th day, something that way. So we live on water all around us, and we can only offer swim lessons for like 2 months in the summer, 3 months tops. So it would be great to have a pool, but
Yeah.
the cost is
Well, and
astronomical.
Bozeman
absolutely.
can barely keep theirs open. It's always down for maintenance and/or trying to keep somebody in there working it.
Yeah.
And Carroll College closed theirs because they didn't even have a swim team, and theirs became very, very expensive to maintain for local folks to use. It is. But, aside from a pool, I mean, the indoor, multi-use indoor facility has been on our list for the last 10 years on our last survey. It's just very expensive, and if we were just as lucky as Great Falls is to have the DOD pay for
Have the
part of
DOD
it.
pay
Right.
for it, correct.
Nice.
But,
And you guys are probably familiar with the Helena Regional Sports Association.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chair, if I may, interesting enough, it was pointed out to me yesterday that there is a bill that was proposed that would be kickstarting grant funding for pools, specifically construction and maintenance, but we don't know how that's gonna end up, but it is, I believe it's House Bill 313, if anybody wants to look it up on their own time, or I can send it out after the meeting.
Oh, we'll look it up for sure.
315 or 313?
313.
313.
We're legislature groupies right now during session. We're on like the bill trackers and everything. We'll add this one.
So any more thoughts on the survey? I mean, are you comfortable with the results? They're reflective of what you thought they might have said?
I think it's about what I was thinking would come back to the community from between 50-50 on like expanding the golf course or keeping the golf or keeping it where it was, or the same with the gun range, keeping it there or moving it all up into one area instead of gun range having two locations. The bathrooms do surprise me, but not at the same time not so much, because there's not that many places with the bathrooms open with everybody walking in the winter. The swimming pool, it's a great option, but I don't know if we have the population to support it tax-wise.
Well, and that's where it's going to come from.
Texas.
Because that's the only, because I don't see how you can support that in perpetuity, right? Like you can't employ people and do maintenance and run a facility unless people are willing to support a recreational district at some level.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure.
Only thing that one is trying to get out in the private business and looking for somebody to build said building and run it as a business for a profit for themselves.
Right.
But like you said, do we have the population to support it?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I mean,
Well,
you be creative. It
tough.
would have to be,
All inclusive with like a baseball field, kind of, where was I not too long ago? Outside of Butte, where they have the recreation district over there. Where they have all baseball fields, soft football fields, archery fields, everything, but again, that's still county.
Butte's a
Try to
lot
find-
bigger
yeah,
than
it's a
we
lot
are
bigger.
to support that.
Yeah, that's Stoughton Park, I think.
I think you're correct.
That said, I don't think it's bad to plan, right?
No, it's not bad to plan.
So, and especially if you're like, okay, we have a multi-use building, courts, whatever. How do we plan for that to be added onto? I know, like when we were doing the engineering, architectural stuff for this emergency service type building in the south end of the county, we're looking at how can it be phased. Here's the big pipe. Here's the big dream. Right?
Pipe dream
and then
facility.
we've got to pare it down. And then how do we build that, and how do you phase it? So the plan from the get-go is to be
Yeah.
added on to as things grow and as things move forward.
For me,
Right.
looking at the survey, or the 10-acre property, one, we have the easiest use to updating and moving forward with the master plan. How can we incorporate what the community's looking at into that 10 acres and try to make some people happy?
So,
Well, I think the easy would be a walking path. I mean,
Yeah, the
that
walking
would
path
take
is
quite a
quite
bit
a
of
bit.
these, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And there is a
And-
trails group. There's a local trails
Yeah.
group. Al Christopherson is working really hard with that group. They have a lot of plans. So there are people already doing a considerable amount of work to connect things all
Correct.
the way, all around the county. So, working with them, supporting them somehow, having them, work with us, however we would do that. That's a possibility. There's already someone driving that train. That's a
Cool.
good point.
Yeah.
So are you saying not putting a walking path at the 10 acres or getting with that group and,
No, I'm a
Putting-
liaison to that trails group
Mhm.
already, and we talked about bringing the master trail along Centerville Road,
Right.
connecting right into the
Okay,
one
yep.
that we do around that park if we decide to do one around the park.
I didn't realize you were on
And
that group too.
I am.
No,
I
that's
am.
great.
He's on
Yeah,
everything.
that's kind of what I was thinking is how do we combine the plans?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're working also, we're doing the new water tower, right, out at the fairgrounds. And so when the city goes to lay that water line from the fairgrounds to town, we're talking, looked at their plans and stuff, and we're putting together the letters to the city to say, hey, can we build our trail right on top of that water easement, that pipeline easement, if it's just going to be gravel for horses and for people to come in town and to get out there. They were concerned about a couple of the roads to the developments, but you just put stop signs, little
Yeah.
stop signs for your walkers and your bicyclists. But and that's an opportunity that we can use if they finish that. When they finish that pipeline, is to put a finished grade on it that can be compacted down well enough to have an ADA look at it. So that's something that that Trails Group is also working on, as well as connecting the south end of the county. And their first highest priority project is the Missouri River, trying to get across.
trying to get across, yeah.
Which was
So-
mentioned in here. I
Yes, it
believe.
was. I saw
Right.
that.
That's a big deal.
Right. Okay. And then one of those solutions was take the Toston Bridge expanse section there, take the Toston Bridge, put it in the center, and then put 2 connecting bridges as well, and on new pylons, because they will not let us hang a bridge on that highway bridge like they did over Montana City. And that would also preserve, they want that one torn down because the pylons are failing, right? But the bridge itself is good. That span is very good, and it's a historical, and it's one way that we could keep that historical bridge in our county.
Yeah, cool.
So, and it would be a nod to Toston. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful
They would have
bridge.
just put it like next to the current bridge?
Yes, downstream, on the
Downstream, right,
downstream
okay.
side, on the north side of the current bridge.
Okay.
But it's a 550-foot span that we would have to gap, but our thoughts were put that one in the center and then build 2 additional, or go out and get some of the salvage bridges that, like they have up at the Highway 12 West. They took those 3 bridges out of Craig and put those, if it's just going to be purely for walking. And some people say, well, it should be for ATVs too, because there are a lot of ATVers try to go across that and try to cut into the highway, and that's very hard. So to have it motorized is a whole different story.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that's a big lead.
It is. I mean, at least the ATVs can cross the highway,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can drive on the
that's-
road. That's not saying they should all the time, because I know there's a lot of kids, like in the summer, a lot of our friends' kids will try and, it makes me nervous when they do that, but I mean, like you said, you're opening a whole other can of worms, making it motorized.
Yeah.
But as far as the survey, the comments are not surprising. I think we've got great support for both the Rod and Gun Club as well as baseball. I mean, it's going to be a challenge on what to do there.
But I think moving forward with the master plan between both and at least having it done and giving the commissioners, giving everybody the chance to see and move forward with it would be what we need to do.
Okay.
May I speak now?
Yes.
My name is Brad Peck, and as stated, I am the Broadwater Rod and Gun Club. I wasn't sure in the survey if I missed it, but I saw the survey about renewing our lease. What about the renewing of the lease for the other part of the golf course and OBRA? What were the results of that one?
We didn't have a question for that.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Which property are you talking about?
Can't Lane, sir.
Canton Lane?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the golf course has the lease for the 9 holes they currently have and their driving range, correct?
I don't remember if it's the current one or the upcoming other 9 holes they're discussing. The only thing I'm referencing is I've seen leases in the past, and they all mentioned 3 organizations. Those 3 organizations are Broadwater Rod and Gun Club, OBRA, and the golf course,
OBRA.
Old Baldy Recreation Association.
That is the golf course.
That is the golf course?
course.
So it's listed twice in the original leases, right?
No, I don't believe so. It was OBRA, the Rod and Gun Club, and the softball baseball association or softball
Okay,
association.
that's the one I'm looking for, is that one, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just didn't know if the results were the same for theirs as they were for ours. I just didn't know what the results were. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Brad. All right.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner, I almost called you the wrong name, I'm sorry. Commissioner Swenson is the president of the golf board.
Yes.
So, in case you guys didn't know. So he's got good insider
He's
information.
the insider on the committee.
And I apologize, that's why I looked at him.
Sorry, yep, I figured. but
Oh, you did.
I didn't know if they knew that, so I just wanted them to know that.
Small town, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so planning for the open house and the design workshops. What do you got in mind there, Jerry?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Do you want to talk about the developing concept maps, like we talked about at the last meeting? Just drawing on the maps that Kevin sent for the Canton Lane property and Centerville property, or do you want to dive into the components of the design workshop and then circle back to talking about the actual design concepts?
Well, let me just make one comment. I like the maps. The topographical is okay. It's not all that significant out there. What I would like to see is the safety zone put on that map for the Rod and Gun Club, so that we make that apparent to the public during the design workshops, that is part of their lease, and that is now. Brad, you might be able to answer. It's not NRA has that is an NRA advised or regulatory. Is it regulatory or is it advised safety zone?
And I'll apologize, I got that flu bug going around, so that's why I'm trying to stay my distance, sorry. It is actually for TRAP, would be American Trap Association, which is ATA.
Okay.
And it is advisory that we have to maintain, mostly so we can keep our insurance.
Your insurance,
Yep.
right. Okay. And they're not looking to increase that at all? Any difference on the shooting or the leads or the shot skeets or any of that?
No, so it does have 2 different standards. We go by the most
Stringent.
stringent, correct. And it's a difference about 110 yards. It's if it's 7.5 and number 8 shot, it's 220 yards. If it's number 6 shot, it's 330 yards. We don't currently allow number 6. That being said, it is impossible to check everyone, and nor do we, nor does anybody. So we just go by the 330 yards and use that as our standard.
Okay.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
I did bring copies of, it's the memorandum of understanding that was filed in 2008, and it does show the safety zone if you want to see it.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
Is that still the same? Is it still the same
Yes.
as it was?
It's on here, it says 1,000 feet, which is 333 yards.
333 yards, yep.
Okay, and
Madam Chair, we didn't have that put on the map.
okay, and so that's what I think would be very beneficial, Jerry, is to let the public understand that this is a safety zone, and that is currently with the lease till 2029.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, and this, so, Commissioner Swenson, Could you talk a little bit about your future golf course expansion? I don't know, I mean, is that really anything within the next 10 years, or is that 50 years down the road? I mean, it might be kind of hard for you to,
It's kind of hard to even say. We haven't discussed it a lot. A lot of the issue right now, well, there's two giant issues, is funding. I mean, because it's
hugely expensive.
we got a bid to redo one of our greens, which was over $70,000 just for one green. So we quickly stopped that, and because we didn't have the funding for it currently. The other issue, so building another 9 holes would be, I mean, you're starting from scratch. You have got to lay all the irrigation, seed everything, get trees planted. I mean, so I don't know how many millions of dollars it would actually end up being. Second issue is irrigation. We have enough water shares from the Montana ditch to water basically that whole chunk over there if we wanted to. I mean, but currently the way that the ditch district is laid out, that section on your map with the contours and stuff is not in the Montana Ditch District for whatever reason. Whoever drew it didn't include it. So we're working on that, of trying to figure out if there is any way to get that chunk included, because that's another huge hurdle of, we have, like I said, we have enough water shares to irrigate it, but currently we can't cross our driveway with the water. So to answer your question, we don't really have a plan as of now for the foreseeable future. And another issue that we keep talking about, kind of tossing it back and forth, is do we have the population to support a 18-hole course? A lot of places, I mean, depending on the course, you know, if you make it nice enough, you'll draw attention in. And we have significantly, especially since COVID, our numbers have gone up drastically from out of town. It used to be, you know, you go out there on a weekday and there'd be nobody there. And now we had one of the busiest days on record on a Wednesday last year, which was just weird. And you go into the parking lot and it's Helena plates, Bozeman plates. So it's where the other courses in Helena and Bozeman are getting so busy that people can't get tee times, we're available. So I think people are, since COVID, especially because we were one of the only courses open, I think it kind of got some exposure. And then it's just continued to grow since then. So our numbers every year are growing, and we have been toying with the ideas of expanding in some way, not necessarily building another 9, but the potential of building a clubhouse or staffing it more, because we wouldn't be able to fund it the way it is now with being a complete honor system course and have another 9. I mean, we already have issues with people sneaking on anyway, so it'd be a lot easier if you got to come in at a lot of different areas. So, long story short, or long story long.
Okay.
We don't have any plans as of now.
Okay. Okay, given that, the 25 acres, would that accommodate baseball fields and soccer fields? I mean, I mean, I know we've talked about before, a potential design is not to break up all the fields and have the rod and gun safety zone right in the middle where people are going to cross right, unless you fence it, people are going to try to cross, and then they're going to get irritated when they have to come all the way around, or you have to drive your kids from one field to the other field, or ADA, or whatever. Would that 25 acres on the downshoot side, obviously, at the end of that 330, first of all, is it feasible to fit a few fields? Is it going to be perceived as safe? Because I don't know if any of you knew what happened with on Sierra Road with Rossiter School and the skeet range there that was built. The school district bought the land because it was cheap. They are outside the safety zone, but the kids are on the playground when the skeet range was in operation, and parents were complaining it's not safe. It's a perception. And you know that, Brad. So is that something that we would look at for the development? I mean, can we sell that to the public?
Yes, that'd be a hard sell. I mean, trying to fence it put something to make it look safe, like a fence of some type that's protective fence, but that would be another cost that we have to absorb and maintain.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Since Kevin and Jerry are joining us just after hours, whatnot, and we're trying to look at the open house.
Yeah, we can move to the.
I was thinking we can come back to this maybe after they wanted to sign off, do you
Okay.
think we should plan maybe like look at the open house times and then talk? We could incorporate this into that discussion, but.
Okay, so you're basically so this is planning for the open house and the design workshops. I was trying to figure out what is it we want to present to the public for the design workshop?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna circle back to our last call, and what we had talked about was giving the public something to react to.
Yes.
A rough concept, and I'm just gonna share my screen again here quick. Bear with me. Can you see that?
Yes.
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 So this is just a very rough mock-up of what was done, one of the first mock-ups for the Jefferson County Fairgrounds. They call it the Recreation Park, but it's really the fairgrounds if you're familiar with it. Just outlining potential development. It's nothing fancy. They wanted to do parking off to the east and to the north, and some improvements around the arena and whatnot. And again, I'm just throwing out that, we talked about giving the public something simple to react to, not going too far in depth, because if we're off base, then we've used a ton of time and resources. I'm going to show you another one.
We're looking at like a rough estimate of what that one of the two properties could possibly put on it. Is that what you're looking at doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and because we already know that 10 acres can't support the full ball fields, but it could support the youth league, the small fry baseball, or I know it's small fry football, but it could support the T-ball,
T-ball, walking trail.
T-ball,
parking.
walking trails, outdoor courts on the 10 acres. I mean, it won't support the full baseball regulation size fields, but it could support small, T-ball fields. So,
Madam Chair.
yes.
Were we going to do, I guess, Jerry, what do you call these? Just a mock-up or a rendering of?
Yeah, just a concept.
A concept, okay.
I mean, just a draft concept. And can you see this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Were we,
This is a draft concept map for the Riverside Park in Laurel on the south side, headed to Red Lodge. Again, it's nothing fancy. They wanted to put in a true RV park, utilities. There are a bunch of historic structures, build a walking trail, put in another fishing access. Again, it's really simple stuff. And so if that's something you want to do, and to circle back to Lindsay's comment, if you guys want to take the time to just mark up maps, rough concepts, and God, you can take a smartphone, take a picture, and send it to Kevin and I, and we can get to work with Matt Vlasic and Hannah Nishik, our GIS people, to do something like this. Again, it doesn't have to be too fancy, because you want to make sure you're going to get buy-in from the public that's going to attend.
I think my question, Madam Chair, was do we want to do two different ones for,
Each property.
well, each
Or-
property, or especially for the Canton Lane property with the Rod and Gun Club, kind of just so people can have an idea that, this is the safety zone, here's what's going on, they can see that, but just give some different options or ideas of what could go in and around that and what, just because it might be hard with just one.
Because I know this one had the proposed ball fields to the right of your gun club, as well as the existing one, and they were never built. They've never done anything with it because they just didn't get to it. But okay, so all All right, so we'll do that. We can take some time at the end, if you all
Yeah.
are good, and throw some ideas. I mean, I know we already had the drawing from when the land was originally transferred. We also had the drawing that I did on the Canton, or not the Canton, the Centerville, the 2 Centerville 10-acre. This one is the larger one on the larger piece on Canton. Okay, so for the planning for the open house then, Jerry, do you have a preference for which way we should do this?
So what typically seems to work the best, and Kevin chime in, is to do poster boards on easels. Those could be the concept maps for each property, and we could do a board next to it for people to say yay or nay, or you could do stickers, like, if you like this concept, put a green sticker on it. If you don't like it, put a red sticker. I would do a couple of big comment boards for people to just write their general comments down. I think it would be really good to present the survey results, the graphs, on a poster so people can see what their peers have said when they come in. We can have hard copies of the survey. I think it'd be really good to have a poster that is the priority, or a list of potential priorities that you guys know in your minds that each place probably needs, and let people put dots on it or take a marker and mark it up. It could be trails, it could be toilets, it could be parking, it could be the indoor multi-use. I know it's a lot of it's repetitive in some respects with the survey, but to me, it validates what you've heard in the survey. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This would really be interactive. People can come in, they can ask us questions, they can go to each individual board, they can give input, and they can go. They can do this on their own time. They're not waiting around for presentations. It's going to be important that each of us is there to talk about the board, but then they can go, oh yeah, I get it. Look at it, give you their input. Maybe they haven't taken the survey. They can take the survey.
Well, and I think it helps people when they have a visual. It very much helps to actually have a visual of what can fit and what can't fit, what is potentially possible. And of course, the first questions people are going to say, well, what's that going to cost us? And we know over at Centerville, we don't have water. We only have one pole that has any electrical capacity at all. Yeah, it's. I like the idea. I just I don't know if we're going to get enough people, but we can definitely put it out there.
Well, if we advertise the same way we advertised to get those survey responses, I think that will do good.
Okay.
Do well to push it. Madam Chair, may I
Yes.
ask? Jerry, I was curious. How do you encourage people in the open house? I've done the thing in different meetings where you put up like three to five ideas for a discussion, and people put the dots, by the ones that they want to talk about the most. How do we get them to leave comments on the designs in an effective way, so they could say, I really think we need to put this over here instead of here, or we really, the trails could connect over on this area rather than this area, something like a more meaningful comment rather than just cool. That's great idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because it takes, folks have to be pretty committed to spend a lot of time doing that. We can do maps with the clear transparencies to let folks give each individual person the chance. It's like a whiteboard. We've done this in the past where you take the clear plastic and you give them basically erase markers, and they can write their comments. They can look at it and do exactly what you're talking about, Lindsay, and you can take a picture of it and then clean it, and then the next person can do it.
Okay, that's intense.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. It's just people have to be willing to take the time, and you will have specific folks who are very interested in doing it. So I think if you want that part of the project, you should also have it set up so folks can, if they're not interested in doing a design, they could at least come in and give you feedback about your concepts.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was thinking even like Post-it notes, right, that they could stick onto the concept map.
Yep, you can
Yeah.
do that too.
I know we did that for our growth policy stuff that we did, and it was nice to see where people, wanted to see growth and development. They could just put a Post-it note on there with a comment.
Right. Yeah, we've done that in our, we have brainstorming, visionary brainstorming. That's how we got the trails. Coalition started. We had the map, and we said, okay, where do you think we ought to do trails? And people just drew lines everywhere, and then we came up, after numerous renditions of that, we came up with the priority list that we have. But I think on this one, so I know I had it on my notes. When our open houses were, refresh me on that. Was that March 7th?
4th and 13th.
The 4th and 13th?
Yep.
At the community center. Right.
4th and 13th. Right. Okay. Okay, so what we need then is we need to get some conceptual designs back to you and Kevin so you guys can put them on a AutoCAD or whatever you draw it on and get them and look at them and double check, make sure that they're what we want to do. And what are we at? Okay. That'll give us about a month. All right, Jerry, we can probably do that. Get that to you for the 2 pieces of property. Maybe 1 or 2 different ideas on what we can design.
Yep.
Or some concepts to put out there.
That would be great. Are you interested in us putting together kind of a couple of generic comment posters to have up, and then also posters showing the survey results?
Yes. I think we definitely need the survey results. I don't know what would be the best way for the comments.
Madam Chair, I was going to suggest maybe taking you could post the survey results, but maybe even taking the top 4
Right.
4 things or 5 things,
Okay.
and saying here's the top 4 or 5 that we got from the survey, and then utilizing the little colored sticker approach, and let people say, okay, now we've gone from what did they have, 8 options on the survey? Now we're down to 4, and we can really prioritize from there
what they
and
want.
see. Yeah.
And-
Just a thought in conjunction with having the design boards or the concept boards that people can
Okay.
maybe put comments on as well.
And I'm thinking, we have all the comments. I know you talked about bubbling the comments into word clouds to be able to do that. Maybe that will also help us refine the priority list as well.
Do we want to remove the indoor multi-use courts from our list? I mean, is it feasible that we can do that? I mean, we were just talking about maintenance and who's going to pay for that, or should we keep it on there? I mean, I think a lot of people are still going to push that that's what they want, but in reality, can we?
Well, it's a plan, right? It's just a
Yeah.
plan. We're not moving. We can't build this stuff tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was what, number 4 on the priority list?
1, 2, 3, number 3.
There's a third.
Indoor, yeah.
Yeah. And I know Adam and MBAC were looking at RY timber area, but I don't know what that's result of that is, and I won't suggest anything on that either.
Yeah, I would at least include it as a discussion in the plan. I think Kevin would agree. You just never know. Funding opportunity, philanthropists, they're going to want to know that you've got a plan. Not, hey, we want to build this. Well, what's your idea? And you're like, I don't know.
We have a dream.
We have a dream.
Well, you gotta have the dream, right? So
Yeah.
I'd say put it on there, but might as well. It doesn't hurt to put it in the concept and in the plan. It doesn't mean it has to be done. In the
Well,
next,
and even that 10
10 years.
acres could support a multi-use facility fairly well.
Correct.
yes, it
Yeah.
could.
I mean, look at what Trailhead just built.
exactly.
I mean, that's a very nice addition they put up there with the offices around the top and the court and everything else. It's a dream, it's a vision, but it's got to start somewhere, and it could start on paper.
Perfect. We'll move some of the county offices out there.
There you go.
I mean, I'll sign up.
And then you'll
county
reduce
can
the
help
health
pay for it.
insurance, right? Reduce the health insurance by working out at every lunch.
Right.
Yep.
The other thing that might, once you guys have your rough concepts put together, and stuff, Kevin and I think it would be valuable for us to put together even a poster that's like, just so you know, this is what this stuff costs. Gravel trail, linear feet, this much.
Indoor building.
Basketball courts,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
much.
Building.
And it'll be ballpark figures, because we all know in this global economy, it's like
Right.
cost change. But I think it would be really good for people to see that, a new multi-use field with baseball, soccer, or whatever in Portland, Oregon cost X. Sure, it might be less here, but at least I think it gives people an idea. Multi-use facility, we can hunt up some numbers, and actually I think Kevin has.
Great Falls, right? You got the Great Falls one, and you've got a couple others. I know you presented to us before at one of our previous meetings. Yeah, that would be good. That would be helpful, and that's what I said. People will say, "Well, yeah, that's great to talk about it, but what's it going to cost, and how are we going to maintain
How much my taxes
it?"
going up as one
That's-
person
that's
put in
right.
here.
Well,
Exactly.
what would be interesting is to also, in the same breath, Jerry, address how these things get paid for. So some options like recreation districts, grant funding, wealthy beneficiary.
Right.
You pick it.
Why are you
But
looking
Mill
at me for
levy,
that?
recreational,
That and,
Chuckle, I know.
recreational mill levy.
Long-term maintenance for the
Yes.
facilities
Yeah.
for some of the options. That way
Yeah.
people can see, well, it's great to put a indoor facility, but if it's
Taxes,
$1 million a year for maintenance,
Yeah, I think it's good, but at the same time, we're saying,
a little bit of every,
hey, this is really costly. Here's the reality of paying for this. This is what it's going to cost, and here's how we pay for it too. So everybody, because you look at these comments, people are like, we really need a low cost building or a low cost recreational facility. You're like, define low cost. What
you
does
got
that
low
mean?
cost, go see Rod and Gun Club.
Right? Like what? Yeah. So yeah.
So as far as posters go, I just want to run down the short list I
Okay.
put together. So we'll have the site concepts, probably 2 for each property. So there'll be 2 posters for each site, correct?
Correct.
Are you okay with doing the survey results? Just the graphs, the graphics on posters so folks can see that?
Yeah.
I think we just need the graph. I don't think we need numbers.
Yeah.
Just the graph. Yeah.
Comment.
Agreed.
We'll do a rough cost poster board. And then a funding poster. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to run
We
through that?
would- We would
Okay.
get these
We'll put
mounted
that on a
on
mix.
foam boards. So they can be used at both open houses. The park rec board and the commissioners will have these, so they'll last. There's nothing worse than printing a nice paper poster and that it's not laminated on a board and it falls apart. So
Okay.
as far as marketing, do you want us to put together marketing posters for the 4th and the 13th, similar to the survey?
I would say yes.
Yeah, make it easier for,
It'd make it easier for all of us to be able to do that, and then we can also take that around. We could get that in the paper appropriately this time.
It's all right.
I will do it. And then do we want to do? Yeah. Do we want to do any kind of postcards? Do we have any kind of community event coming up that we could put this out on?
Sports, like you could always ask the schools to hand it out, like as you come into those games and you pay, people could hand hand things out, like, hey, come to this event. So, I mean, then you know,
It's a
like,
great idea.
yeah, then it's getting,
Brad, do you have any meetings coming up between now and March 4th that you could help as well? Any of your meetings on a monthly basis? I know I've got Rotary twice a month and Legion at least once a month, or at least one of the Legion family meetings. There's 3 of them a month, but so I guess we'll do what we did last time and just kind of ask the board to take their personal contacts, take their personal meetings and or public meetings and push it out there. Go ahead, Brad.
We do have a weekly email that we use to notify our members. With 500 plus members, it's a viable option.
Okay, thank you. If we got it to you, then we could electronically, then we could,
Yes, ma'am.
you would push that out for us. Okay.
you guys could send us an electronic copy too, Jerry?
Oh, yeah.
I think, okay.
PDF.
I
or-
figured.
I think, Kevin, we could actually even link it somewhere with a QR code if you didn't want to have to email the whole thing. We'll have to look into that. I'm not the tech guy at all, so
I think we could do that. That'd be pretty easy.
that way, if you have the QR code, you could just be a blurb saying, hey, workshop for the Park Rec Board. Click on this QR code for more information.
Yes.
You don't get the
Very
sound
helpful.
effects, though.
All right.
In fact, the newspaper actually called, not the newspaper, a couple of folks have called me this week and said they got it out of the newspaper and they thought it was great. They clicked it right on their phone and were able to use it.
Yeah.
And so that was another avenue to do. And then, I don't know, City had it on their website for a little while or not. So, okay.
Do you guys have any other thoughts about what you'd like to see as far as the design workshops? Are we missing something?
Would you be able to have a tabletop map of the property? You know, I'm going back to my architecture days where we just moved little pieces around. We had a little baseball diamond here. We can move it over to here. So people can, you know what I'm talking about? Either little paper
Yeah.
mock-ups,
I know what you're
and then we
saying.
take it when somebody gets done and say, "Hey, this would be good," and take a picture of it, and then let the next person sit there and play with it, and say, see if it fits or doesn't fit, or what works better." And you can, especially when we talk about the water part on Centerville. Where they'd like to, I mean, obviously, we probably would put the parking on the exterior, but does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that's what we would probably try to print 36 by 48 maps that are on foam board.
Okay, so you were talking about putting those on easels, though, with sticky
Well,
paper?
You can put them on easels or you can put them on tables. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, I was thinking on the tables, but-
Easels are easy for the people who aren't gonna sit and mark them up. You could have both types of maps.
Okay,
Because some folks are gonna roll in, they're interested, but not everybody's gonna wanna sit at the table and do design. That's my hunch, that's my experience, but you can
Well-
have both types of maps.
How do
Well-
you make sure people are taking pictures? Like, I like the idea of having the 2 boards and then you have like a flat paper map even that people can move stuff around on and you take a picture of it. How do you make sure that we're taking a picture, someone's taking a picture?
one of us that we're going to be there.
Sit there and,
Right, we're going to be
Yeah,
there, so.
Someone's gonna have to man that table.
And I wouldn't mind that at all, because I enjoy, but what I would like to see is some, to scale, by foot to scale, a basketball court, a tennis court, well, we talked about 6 or 8 tennis courts, just
Different
putting a
sized
piece of
baseball
paper.
fields.
Different sized baseball fields. You've got the big baseball fields for the high school kids. You got the little t-ball fields, softball, soccer. What do we need for soccer goals? What do we need for the little kids soccer versus like we have at McCarthy Park? Not McCarthy, Holloway. Holloway Park has soccer fields, but they're for little kids. They're not the big regulation soccer fields. If we can see, have little paper cutouts of those to scale, that people can actually touch and put around on the maps and say, okay, what about this, what about that? I think it might help stir some ideas. Does that make sense, Jerry?
It does, but that will take a little bit of work versus a GIS map.
Making a full-scale model of,
Right.
like, buy some toys.
Yeah.
Model it out. That would
Well-
be hard. Like, you want it to
I just
scale.
want them on paper. I just want little paper, just like a little paper ball fields.
Oh, like little
Flat little paper ball fields,
pieces
la-
that
you know,
move around.
move around.
Yeah.
Whether they're laminated or not, just little paper so you can move them around and see how they fit and how they look and whether you got trails between them and space between them. You know, a dog park over here, playground over there.
I think at this point, you could get away with just doing it with Post-it notes, though. I don't know that they have to be absolutely to scale.
Okay,
Just,
That's just my take, because you're not gonna, chances are this is gonna be a combination of things that you as a board, ultimately, and then the commissioners, you say yay or nay to.
mhm.
I mean, right now, I think if you present a couple of concepts, and then if you want to give folks the option to design their own, I honestly don't see any issue with having different colored Post-it notes for them to say, if you don't like those concepts, here, mark this one up. And, because we
Okay.
are in really high-level, broad concepts, and I just want to be
Okay.
honest, Kevin is probably going to agree, it's going to take us some time to create paper scale ball fields, whereas Matt, our GIS guy, can be like, oh, that's, once he has your concept, he's got all the simple tools to do it. Kevin and I are going to be like, okay, Kevin, we're going to have to, I'm just being.
I know, it's taking you back to kindergarten where you gotta cut out the little pictures.
Dinosaur diorama.
The little diorama.
Graduate school at the University of Montana, I took the last mapping class where we drew maps. We didn't use electronics. That's really what we're talking about, and it can get time consuming, and I want to be very
Okay.
cognizant of your budget.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. It was just an idea, because I know some people are real hands-on designers. They're
Well, I
conceptual.
still think it's a good idea.
We can give them
It's
blank
just
paper to
we do-
fold
Yeah.
into their designs.
Well, and I think part of what I'm looking at is the concept of giving them something to scale, so they can see that, hey, we have that Centerville property, can we fit a multi-use facility over there? And then we have to put the parking, and then we have to put, is it going to fit in there, and what is it going to take away from? Or we already know professionally we cannot put the high school baseball fields over there. There just isn't enough footage on the width. But that's you know what I mean. It's a lot easier when you can sit here and dream about it, but to actually put it on scale.
Could we have some
We can move.
statistics available? And I say statistics, but numbers available. Like first off, like on the maps, Jerry, just to show the distance or how many feet or yards each. Put that like how the width and length of the properties that we're looking at, if that's on the map, and then if we have, and which I mean, it probably is on the COS.
It's on
anyway,
here,
but,
yeah.
But for what they're going to use and blow up. And then just have a list kind of people can refer to. Okay, I think we should put our high school baseball fields on Centerville. And you're like, okay, well, Centerville is only this wide,
324 feet.
but a full-size baseball field is this wide, right? So just have those numbers. Like a basketball court is X feet by X feet. A baseball field is this by this. Just have those dimensions at hand, so people can kind of be like, oh yeah, that's not going to fit there.
Right.
You can kind of look and
Right.
It's a great
compare.
idea, Lindsay. We can do a simple handout, Governor and I, that's like,
Just a list of different things.
Yeah.
baseball field is this big, takes up this much feet. A regulation basketball court is this big. Regulation soccer field is this big.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then we'll have two posters for each side anyway. So one of those posters is going to have the baseball fields on it,
Yeah.
and so they'll be able to see that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And like you were saying, the multi-use field. A multi-use field is here's how big it has to be so it can accommodate all these different fields, right? So just, if we just had a list of that for people to look at and be like, oh yeah, I see how big this is, that's not gonna work.
So, and I know that we talked about, I know I did with Commissioner Delger at the time and Bill Duty, was turning the fields so that the outfields are multi-use for soccer in the non-season, and not putting them in a clover leaf where they're totally unusable for any other use.
Kevin's very familiar with that. He can speak to that way better than me.
Okay.
That's the design I've had in my head all along. Especially, I lived out in Oregon for a few years and coached high school baseball. A ton of their sports complexes are set up that exact way. And there's such a good use of space that I love it. And it hasn't shown up in Montana yet. And I'm not really sure why, because it's so great, but.
Well, and I don't either. I just know that in Colorado Springs, it was a little tiff between the baseball and the soccer folks. And they who tears up the fields worse and at what time of the year. So, but I think if we're going to build multi-use fields, that we need to do it that way. But in any case, do we have any other, Jerry or Kevin, do you have anything else for us? I know we're running out of time, but.
No, we got our Kevin, I feel good about what we need to do. We can get started ASAP on posters and figures and everything else, and then we'll just wait when we get the concept maps. We'll give our GIS folks a heads up tomorrow that they'll be coming, so they're ready. Because, I mean, we got a month, but that month's gonna fly by. So.
Oh, boy.
Well, let me ask you, the board, the one I came up with last year for Centerville, do we feel that was a feasible design?
Yes.
Yes.
As
The
a
one we're
big
talking
open
about.
concept
Mhm.
for Centerville? Jerry, you should have that one, because I believe that was passed on to you.
Did we get that?
The draft master plan, or the draft plan I put together that was about 7 pages, but it had the conceptual design of with the dog park and it was all concrete, though. It was tennis courts, basketball, playground, dog park, and walking trails.
Drill
I
preschool.
don't think we got that to you.
Okay, we can send that on to you then.
That'd be great. Even
And the reason that
photo.
yeah, well, the other thing I think we need to emphasize too, Centerville has no water. If we're going to do this and we're going to try to promote outdoor fields that need grass, other than what I designed, which was total low maintenance, all concrete, we're going to have to put a well, and we're going to have to put power and a pump station, and how that adds to the cost. So if we could add
picking up
the pit
permanent
toilets,
well.
we all know what pit toilets cost now.
Yes, we do.
ADA pit toilets, we have a well, the potential that if we're going to do these on the Canton property, I mean, we just replaced the water pump, wasn't that the water pump at Connors Field? So we know what those costs are to do those kinds of things, but, just put the generic pumping system together, or a generic well,
Well, I can
those.
tell you about a well. I put in a well to water my horses. It's $5,000 to drill the well, $7,500 to put an inline pressure tank in it that'll push 100 gallons a minute. Not that I need that, and then $2,500 for electrical.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll be
It's
like,
$85 a foot right now to drill a new well and case it, drill and case.
And a lot of the well companies are like minimum of $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's 30 feet or
Yeah.
200 feet, they're like.
Okay. Maybe
That
some,
was
You shouldn't have to go very deep.
maybe some, just a little bit of the infrastructure costs for doing ball fields, watering systems, irrigation systems, bringing power. I mean, like I said, we have one pole on the far end of Centerville, but I'm not sure how much power we have. You have power out at the Rod and Gun Club, obviously. I don't know what the capacity of that power would be to add a couple more pump stations that we might need for irrigation of ball fields. So, But anyway, if we could just have some of that generic costs.
Yep.
Anything else before we release Jerry and Kevin?
I think we got everything to them.
No, this is exciting. So this is, we've said it before, these are the fun projects.
Oh, yeah.
It is fun. I do, and I enjoy designing and seeing them come to fruition,
Yeah.
even if it is 10 years down the road. We're good. Okay.
We gotta start
I
somewhere.
will tell you this only because it's applicable, the Helena Recreational Association, my wife Debbie, who's since passed away, that was her heart and soul. So this sort of thing is really important to me. So making these things happen, it can happen. It just takes champions like you guys, so.
Well, you
Yeah.
gotta start the process somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, if you just let it sit, nothing's gonna happen. And even if it's a pipe dream, even if it's 20 years down the road, at least someone was like, hey, we started thinking about it and there's a plan in place. You know, it might be a loose plan, but
Right. And when it comes to larger projects, you need to preserve the corridor, preserve the space. And I know that's, the golf course was thinking that way back when. And the Rod and Gun Club, even your safety zone at that point. So, okay. Kevin, Jerry, anything further from either of you two?
Oh, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank
Thanks.
you.
Have a great
guys.
night.
Good
Be
night.
safe out there. Take care.
Okay, so how do I, right here?
Get
Oh,
in.
they're off.
Yeah,
They're all off?
But you're still on.
There you
Okay.
go. End meeting
Right
for
there?
all. Up.
The red one.
The red one.
Gosh, sorry, I cannot see.
Do you want to borrow my glasses?
It doesn't,
Okay.
no, I have contacts in, it does
Oh.
not matter, I cannot see, that's too small.
Okay, so our due out is conceptual design.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to get it to them in time for them to be able to do that. Jesse?
Is that it, or would
Yes,
you-
that was it.
Okay, because I have. a lot of
Absolutely.
them.
Excuse me.
Can we see the one that was, when the survey was completed? That one
Yes.
right there?
Yep.
Yeah, that was done by, wasn't that done by Brostrup or one of those?
I honestly don't. I know Schauber Surveying is the one that.
So this is what Centerville they had to come up with a design because they were told they had 2 years to do a park on that
Yep.
property when it was transferred to us.
Yep.
So they threw this, they're all the same.
Yeah.
They threw this together and they had ball fields, but they were like 290 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the parking, literally, it was straight in, nose in parking right off the road, which doesn't give you any turnaround space, doesn't give you any, you back right into the road.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, they were looking at, okay, here you go, here's an
An idea.
idea.
They came up with an idea. That's what we're looking for right now too. So.
Yeah, for this athletic field, bike rodeos, miscellaneous
Mhm.
events,
Do soccer there.
and just a soccer field there.
Well, I like I like your idea, your concept was really
Mhm.
good for
I was
Centerville
gonna say,
that we.
like you said, with the amount of water we would have to do for this, doing the
Oh,
well.
absolutely. Absolutely.
We need to embrace the Arizona, what is it?
Zero
Just their-
escaping.
Yeah, zero escaping.
Mhm.
Just,
Yeah, you're looking at sod and
Oh, I know.
maintenance would be,
Yeah, who's maintaining it?
and these wouldn't even be the big ball fields, so these would just be for the pee-wee.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's, yeah, I like your idea.
I do like the idea of you talked about where you're spinning the two ball fields, that outfields facing each other, so you
Right.
do get that soccer field in the middle. You get that multi-use,
Right,
but not for this property, maybe.
right. Okay, so that one's out, and that's fine. That's why I drew a new one. Because we didn't have the water out here, and we didn't have the concept for that. So we know we have one, and ours was a very low maintenance, basic all concrete and fences. And the parents that said, we don't want a 240-foot playground, we just want a little one,
Smaller,
so we don't
yeah.
have to chase our kids so far. That was interesting. But yeah, if you have it electronically, well, you have it on your phone.
I do, that's the one you want me?
That's one of
Or you
them,
want me to
yes,
send that to him?
yes.
Would you send it to all of us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can do it.
That'd be fantastic, because
And that will be the starter for Centerville, but now we need,
Yeah.
what do we want to do with this one? And the concept of you folks staying there or not staying there, are there any future plans whatsoever of even moving now? If you don't mind addressing that, Brad.
I do not mind at all, and thank you for having me. So since the last time I was here, we did kind of look at a rough idea what it would cost to move our stuff to Indian Creek. Short of the safety zone not existing, which is another problem in and of itself. I mean,
Up at Indian Creek, you don't have the 333?
Yeah.
Okay,
we don't because of currently how the range is laid out. There's stuff in the way, meaning buildings or machines, or when I say machines, I mean or archery targets. We have a whole bunch of stuff because it is multi-use right now.
Okay.
The problem is the flat ground we have is not adequate for ATA compliant events.
okay,
We host 2 events a year that are ATA compliant or ATA events. So the Kwanzaa hut is right in the middle of where it would have to be. And so therein lies part of the problem. And then even if we move the Kwanzaa hut, we still have the benches and everything else in the way. So it's a major reorganization. If we go to the east, there's BLM out there that would be a possibility. The only downfall with it is by the time we build a clubhouse and run electrical and all that stuff again, we're a couple $1 million.
right.
And that's a pretty tough proposition.
Okay.
So that's it's just tough all the way around. I don't want to be in your guys' shoes for sure. I sit and listen to it, and I just know that all this stuff costs money, and even if you got it approved, it's still trying to come up with the funds. It's still tough. It's always going to put somebody in a bad spot.
Yeah.
There's just no way around it. It is what it is. Obviously, we would like to stay where we are, pretty well established. Between 4-H and everything else, our downtime would, we'd have to build another one to coexist because of 4-H uses and club uses. Canton Lane is used 2.5 times a week. That's an average, obviously, because there's no halves. But every 2 weeks, it's 5 uses. And that use could be anywhere from an hour to 4 hours.
Okay.
4-H right now, I believe, has 28 kids in
For the shooting sports, yeah.
and that's not including the trap 4-H kids. That's just the small bore and air rifle stuff.
Okay.
So there gets to be a lot to our end of it also. I don't know how to answer it any more truthfully than that.
You have any usage reports for like the last couple of years on trap? How many people come out each year? The only reason I'm asking that is I've heard different community members say it doesn't get used at all. I live right next to it. I don't see anybody there. Just so I have so I see how many people are actually using it. For me.
I understand, and I've heard those. I've heard those people as well.
Exactly.
I could name them for you.
Yep.
I will say that my daughter is in trap, high school trap, and so we come down here. We go to both facilities, both Helena and down here. The weekends we were here, it was 20 plus shooters. It's kind of misleading. They can say we see here 8 to 10 people.
Yeah.
That is, I don't know how the survey stuff came out, but that's the numbers I've heard in the past. 8 to 10 people a weekend, and it's just significantly not true. Each person typically shoots. So there's 5 shoot at one time. We typically run 3 houses. So there's 4 houses there, and that's not including the 4-H house, which they run their own times. So those 3 houses are run for 2.5 hours straight, and they're 4 or 5 people. They can't be any less than 4. So it tells you on average we get about 100 uses a weekend during trap. So that means that people pay us for 100 times. So it sounds like there's less because of the order they shoot in. So it all kinds of gets massed in.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It does, and it's tough. ATA was 160 entries for the one event this year, and that was a 3-day event that we hosted back in May. August, I think, was 80-some entries.
Okay.
And most of our entries are Helena or out of Broadwater County. So we are bringing people into the county.
Which helps.
Yeah, which is always good.
Okay.
And then 4-H trap, we do a fun day for them every year. And I think this year was 160 rounds, which is an astronomical number, you know, and on those fun days we don't charge for it. So those 4-H kids get to shoot that day for free. So it's a pretty big endeavor there. My daughter alone this year shot 6 rounds a Sunday here in Townsend. So it's pretty hard to have only 8 people when she saw 6 of them. And so it's a little crazy, but.
Okay.
And then the last question I have for
Absolutely.
you. What feasibility of rotating, moving, to use the property, if there was a chance for, like, when we make the drawing, to say, we rotate you over
To
to
Antoinette's fence.
to different
May I look,
section,
ma'am?
if
Huh?
that's something.
May I look?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, and I won't breathe on.
So we're talking about clockwise to where this becomes here. And then this one then becomes over here. It would obviously, you'd have to move your
Houses a little bit.
houses, but what, you know, would there be a probability of doing that? Is that something we could even consider?
There is, we do have a buffer between private property and, I think, is that property to the south of us private?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we do have to have a minuscule buffer that's not a safety zone.
Yep.
Well, I see this, yeah, you've got this buffer one even for the softball fields.
Yeah.
You've got that buffer, but,
And so that buffer has to be on property.
okay.
And since it's county property, that's how the definition meets there.
Yeah.
If we shift it over, that buffer now drops onto private land to the south of us.
Okay.
So it's nothing more than, if you want to think of it as a noise buffer, that's truly what it comes down to.
Yeah, we don't want to have deaf cattle.
Well, and there's not a lot to it
There's
there.
any cattle.
The only other thing we have to pay attention to is the canal. And so we can't have the lead around the canal.
Yep.
So we do have to be kind of cognizant of that.
Exactly.
And
Okay.
there's, I'm not
Or
saying.
pushing the safety zone right up to next to the Canton Lane Road or something, or Dellinger Road.
Right.
So that makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
And it, like I said, it's nothing more than a noise buffer because of shotguns.
Yep.
And, you know, if you would grant us that buffer, grant the county the buffer, it might solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Moving the houses is, it's an expense, but I don't know exactly what it would cost, but we're probably in that $30,000 to $40,000 to rotate them.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, we would pull the one to the south back towards the building a little bit, and then rotate the others away. And then the only advantage to that is, I apologize for that. My wife's checking on me because I have a temperature
okay.
today, so she thought I was silly to come down. But it would be tough. It gets tough, and you know, it's agricultural uses there. Except this year, that guy had his RV there the whole year. And so it's not just the agricultural or farming issues or ranching issues with noise there. It's he physically has a building or
Yeah.
has an RV there and stayed there. I don't know if it was him or ranch hands, but it's just all the things that fall into the whole mess of
Correct.
what you guys get to do for fun.
Okay.
Yeah, not impossible. It's very possible.
Well, and I think we've talked about it. I mean, it would gain us a more contiguous space up here at the top.
The ideal
That
spots
could-
are those two corners on the north side of the property, either the one on Canton Lane and Delger or the one on Delger down by the golf course.
Right.
There's just no way around it.
Because I don't see any use of this here. I mean, the proposed ball fields, like I said, people parking here are going to be running through. They're going to be trying to cut through from the other ball fields if we put them here and here. I just think I personally would not advise that at all, to have discontiguous ball fields like
It
that.
gets tough. I mean, well, if they want to drive back and forth, they can do that right now with fields you have, right?
Yeah.
You know, and the idea is that you get them in one location. The other only small issue with that is where that road is that would connect the existing softball field to the new one. That fence would only be like 8 inches away from the corner of our building. So where it's drawn is off a little bit from where it's actually at.
Okay.
So that would isolate that, and it would go through what we call trap house number 4, which is what the 4-H kids use currently. It would go right through that trap house, which is purely based on just a small. I don't know if the canal was originally there, or if it got pushed to one side or the other in the rendering.
Right, I don't know.
But we had Schauber come out this year and stake it out for us. And that stake is less than a foot away from the corner of the building. So it is, it's literally right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate you coming in today,
Okay,
Brad.
thank you.
It was very helpful. Very helpful.
No, sorry.
Go home,
Came all the way down.
get better.
Go home.
Yep.
Thank you.
Call the wife before she sends a rescue party.
Yeah. Well, she's like, you haven't left yet.
Well, for check.
Yeah.
But thank you. We do appreciate the input.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, I'm not at first, but if you need anything, just email me or call me and say, would you mind showing up?
Yep.
And busy daughter doing stuff, so
Okay.
I'm gone a lot, but if I can make them, I'll make them.
Thank you.
Especially if I can contribute or not contribute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. All right.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just want to say, just because Commissioner Swenson reminded me of this, that the golf course has that this piece all right here.
Right, the future golf course expansion.
Yeah, that's all.
Our lease goes to 2029 also.
2029
It's
on
already out to 2029. It's
Same
on
as-
there.
It's
Theirs.
all the leases were the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is already a part of your lease.
Yes.
So anything we're doing out there is, looking at, it would be for, I mean,
It's the point he brought up about
Yeah.
all the leases out there. The question should have probably, at the time, I didn't know that was all. I thought the golf course owned that part, but it should have been talking to how we want to approach the future lease for all those properties. So,
yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you,
you.
Brad.
Safe travels.
All right, I'll take any ideas. Or do we want to go home and think about it and
think
come
and
back together?
throw some sketches together and email.
I mean, I don't know if Bill Duty would still be willing to share his sketches or not. I know he kind of counted out the Rod and Gun Club being here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Or,
it
I
doesn't
mean,
hurt. I mean, it doesn't hurt to share the sketches. Again,
Yeah.
it's ideas. That's for down the road, right?
Mhm.
We don't know what's going to happen. 2029 sounds like it's far away. It's not. That's 4 years. Well, 5.
5
technically.
years, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
not even-
2025 now, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 4 years. So it's not that far away. So it really, it's actually, I think it's good that we're planning. And I mean, it's going to take that long to get stuff going and financed and everything else anyway. So it's all right to
Yeah.
just get an idea, get something
It,
mapped out.
it gives everybody a chance. I mean, yeah, the leases are out there, but we could, if we move, say, the Rod and Gun Club to where the future golf course is, and then you have where the Rod Gun Club sits now, and make that ballparks, and golf course doesn't get in future golf course, or something to that effect, or vice versa, but it lets the community get a chance to kind of see what it is and bring their opinions to the commissioners come 2029.
Yeah. Just ideas, really.
Yeah.
We're asking for ideas.
Mhm.
I mean, we know that Centerville is probably going to be the property that's where we can focus our efforts, and we knew that going in
Correct.
to this whole thing. So just because of all this, but we wanted to get the ideas for here, what could be done, and yeah, I mean,
I don't think the Rod and Gun Club would like to relocate their entire building. And then we'd have to look at environmentally, what kind of
right.
Lead abatement.
cleanup
Yeah,
abatement
the
for,
lead cleanup.
the lead abatement. And I know I mean, it was $300,000, and that was when the Navy came in to do it on the old Ent Air Force Base that I was in charge of cleaning up before it got turned into the Colorado Springs Airport.
Yes.
And it was not, and that was Navy to Air Force.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they come in with a big machine and they scour and clean the soil. So,
We were in contact with, well, he's actually a member of our board, but that's what he does for a living. And he when we were renegotiating our leases and stuff, we were making sure that if the golf course ever got to expand, we would not be responsible for cleaning it up, because at the time he said it would probably be in the millions of dollars to clean it.
yeah, because unless you put it under concrete runways,
Yep,
So I
exactly.
don't think
Where the
it
water
hurts,
can't
though,
get to it,
ask, Bill, if you reach out to Bill, I don't think it hurts to ask him for those concepts. I mean, he so badly wanted that to move forward.
Yep.
And rightfully so, I understand. So it doesn't hurt. It can only help the idea and the concept and the planning.
It put something in place that wasn't in place when these leases were done. There wasn't a master plan in place back then. It was, hey, it's good, let's put this here and let's put this here.
Exactly.
And it sounds great.
Yeah.
And nobody looked in the future.
No.
So, and that gives us a chance to see what the school needs, see what they need for everything. And but I think it's a good idea to throw some ideas together and see what the community comes back with.
I agree.
Well, and that's why I'd asked Bill, he talked about, he used to play baseball over there on that 17 acres where the Cedar dump site is.
Yeah.
And I know the county still has that land over there, but it's not really good for anything but maybe walking trails through the
Yeah.
forest there, through the
WMA.
woods.
Yeah. Get back.
Yeah. But,
Eaten by mosquitoes.
okay.
Yeah.
I think I've got Bill's. You got Bill's number? Okay. All right. So can we come back together? I don't know if you all have time, if you want to come back together, just shoot a picture of your design and
I think just
How
shoot
do
a
you wanna
picture of a
do it?
design, probably the easiest.
just send it out to each of us. Would that be okay with the?
We're not
Proper.
discussing much.
No,
For the-
I think it's perfectly fine. We're not,
Okay.
there's no decisions being made there. We gotta make use of the county's money. And
Correct.
we're utilizing Great West for this. We need to get it done. So just, I realize,
Yeah, go ahead.
and excuse me,
That's
Madam
okay.
Chair, I just want to say, I realize we have, there's a lot of emails that happen on the threads. And the reason we're including everybody is so you all can go back and look and see what's going on. So I apologize for the crazy amount of emails at times.
You got 2 of those.
But I
Yeah,
think
there's
just
extras
emailing
here
it's
if you
fine.
guys need these. I don't need them. I've got them on my computer when he sent it to us. He sent it to us by email,
You want,
but
Yeah, I think just email, take your picture, email it to everybody
that's
and.
the center of the.
Can I
that's the
keep
center
this
bill,
one,
that's the-
Jesse?
Gotcha.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
okay, because I know I had a small little one and I could barely read it.
Yeah, so those ones, I went out to Shoppers and had them print it, so it's not the filed copy, but everything's the
I
same.
don't. Okay,
Because the scanned copies were very fuzzy and hard to read, so.
okay. And then that other one was I know I had the full survey of the other one when it was the transfer of the property from BOR to the county. And that's what that design was from when they transferred.
This one,
Yeah.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
But your design is good.
Yeah.
I mean, because we know we can't do the ball fields out there.
Well, we can make those little peewee fields, but it's still going to be a lot of tremendous
That's
about
water.
it with the
The
water and the
water.
power.
And I think that's something we talk about. If we can get people in, you know, you talk about it. Like, this is what we're trying to do because we're trying to go, lower maintenance and
Yeah.
all the things.
Right, and yeah, and having my well work I did this summer. That was my third well pump system to put in, and it definitely went up way since.
So next meeting's the 17th right now?
Next meeting is March 17th, but we need to get this, obviously the open houses are the 4th and the 13th, so.
Correct. I'll definitely be there for both.
Okay,
I plan on being there too, so
I'll be there as well,
unless I got travel comes up that I don't know about yet, so.
okay. And I'm not
the
gonna go
next-
see Mom,
You aren't?
no, not in March. I'm gonna go for
Aw.
Easter, I'll go for Easter. But the election of officers, if we have no nominees, correct?
Unless you guys want to nominate one another.
I don't know how that works, so.
It just takes a motion.
Don't everybody look down this way.
Right.
We need a vice chair, because right now we don't
We
have a
need,
vice
we need
chair.
vice chair, one of you
I
two,
mean-
because I'm already
I
chair, so I
nominate,
can't.
Dirk for vice chair.
Does Dirk concur?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you still want to be chair? Because you could throw that at Dirk too.
I'll stop at vice.
Let's give him a little break in
Nobody
time.
wants to have all the responsibility.
I'm already chair, that's okay, I'm
I know.
We have to
good.
reelect
I was
her,
just-
can she just
We have
stay
to reelect.
chair?
I'll stay
Yeah,
chair
we
if,
need to.
Okay.
if
Okay.
Dirk will step up for vice and
You
fill
stay
in once
chair,
in a
I'll
while.
do vice.
Okay, all right.
I'm assuming that's a motion and a.
So, okay, so is that, I will
Somebody
nominate,
making a motion?
I will second Dirk's motion.
Second Mike's motion?
Can I do that?
You seconding?
As
Yes.
chair?
Yes, you
So
can.
Okay, I'm
Mike is motioning
seconding-
that Dirk should be vice chair?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
And I'll second.
Jenna's seconding.
And by affirmation, he concurs, he will do it, so since we made the acclamation.
I jumped on that before you jumped on
Yeah,
it.
you did.
Throwing people under the bus, Father.
Okay.
Wow. Well, you know what's coming next year then.
I know.
You what's coming next year. And
He's got a
by
year to
then-
prepare.
Yep.
Yeah, and he'll have been here for a couple years, so then you can just jump right into the chair position if Jen
Exactly.
doesn't want to do it anymore.
Right, okay, so that's the officer position, so the VP, or what do they want to call, vice chair, is
Do we have to do anything with Jen's? I mean, do we have to make a formal motion?
Yeah.
We do have to make a formal motion, so somebody's
Yes.
gotta nominate
You do.
Jen
If her term, yeah.
continue my term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
Correct.
who would like to make a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
well, you want me to stay here, you better make the
Yes.
motion.
That's why I'm making the motion,
You-
to continue the Madam Chair's position.
I will accept for this.
And I'll second it.
Okay, so.
Okay, so by acclamation. Okay. Next meeting, March 17th. We will throw an agenda out there, and Aubrey, you've been doing great on collecting ideas for different agenda items.
On the agenda, can we toss in for the next meeting our vault toilet? That's March, and we're coming up on our deadline fairly quick.
What did they say, May?
Was it May or April?
I thought it was April.
I thought it was
April
too.
25th.
I think it was April.
I can look in my notes.
So the next meeting, you wanna talk about the vault toilet?
The vault
I'm sorry,
toilet.
Madam Chair, did you say you wanted to do bylaws review? Is that what you were saying for the next one or no?
Let's defer that. We have it
Okay.
here as new business. I've got the bylaws with me, and I know that we were talking about changing it to advisory board and a couple other things.
So we'll discuss
Um,
that next time?
Yes,
Okay.
we have some other, did you gentlemen get this one?
I did not, I wasn't here last meeting.
Yeah, I got that one.
I can.
Okay,
you need-
resend it out if you wouldn't mind.
Yep.
I also have, I might have to talk with Stacy Summer, because she uses porta potties out there, and I didn't know if she would be interested in purchasing that little toilet and putting it out there where her wedding venue is.
It's a good-
And see if she'd like to do that, if she can. I don't know if she's thought about it, but if we wanted to potentially offer it for sale, she could maybe do that under her grant, some of her grants. But that, I wanted to throw that out there unless we think we can, we aren't gonna, we don't have a place that we can put it.
We can't pay for it.
We can't pay for
We
it
can't
right
even
now.
pay for it. Like, we don't have I mean, I think if you paid for the vault toilet right now, and
It would
I
leave
don't know
us
how much, there
zero
would be
budget.
hardly anything left in the account after paying for it.
Right.
So we would just have a vault toilet. I don't know how this would work, and Nicole would know better. But if someone like Stacy were interested, I would think they could just take care of that transaction with Missoula, who was it?
Missoula Concrete.
Yeah, they could take care of that transaction with Missoula Concrete, and we, like, with our help, and say, hey, yeah, they're gonna
But were
take
they
this
going
out.
to refund us our 5,000 deposit if it was sold at the full price?
At the full, I thought.
No, I
remember.
thought they were keeping our 5,000.
That's something I'll have to go
It
back.
was like
and-
That's
we
why we
were-
wanted
yeah.
to talk about it next month, because it's coming close and we need to make
Nicole
our decision.
has the
Good call.
details. Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely a good call.
And I'll check with Stacy and see if she can even, if she has thought about it, or maybe shot it down before because she couldn't, because of the water table at her,
Right,
at her
right.
place there with the water table.
Is it?
She has that natural spring going through that whole property, thermal
okay,
natural
yeah,
spring.
Okay.
And and then she brings in the porta potties. She uses it just for a wedding venue. The previous people, the Roses, tried to make it a hotel. I know they had their bed and breakfast there in the main house, but then they started to add some things that were against the county code. And they didn't have a license, proper business license for the overnight kind of stuff, but hers is temporary wedding venue, weekend only kind of stuff, so.
Okay.
I don't know, I'll ask her, but that just kind of crossed my mind, because it would be an option to utilize something that was already there and readily available. Okay, do we have any further business or comments from the floor?
Madam Chair.
She's tired to go home. Yes.
Do we, how quickly, is everyone getting information to Great West? Did they say, I didn't hear him say this, so
He
I
didn't say
missed
when he
it.
needed it by.
I would say let's
Right.
try to do it within a week. Is that going to be okay?
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we can send the one right away if,
Mhm.
and at least let them get started.
I'll try to have mine done by Friday.
And there are gonna be 2 posters, right? So like maybe,
Two of, for each
Mhm.
property.
Yeah, so for the second one, that'd be a good spot for the indoor facility too,
Mm-hmm.
that property.
For Centerville?
Yeah.
I thought Adam said he needed 20 acres for that with parking.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to double check with Adam
Yeah.
because they're looking at the RY Timber portion.
Okay.
For that. They were trying to negotiate from the widow to the new owners
Mm-hmm.
that they could donate 20 acres to do
Okay.
with parking. But let me check with him.
Okay.
But it, depends how you make it.
Yeah.
I mean, if
right,
you make it long and narrow,
yeah.
so put the parking in the front on the Centerville side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So throw it out there. Take a look at a couple of designs and see if it would fit.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Definitely do it.
If we could get those within a week and a half,
Mm-hmm.
shoot it out to the rest of us for comments and thought, and then we can submit. We've got 3 more designs to come up with.
Sounds good.
just
And look-
copy everybody and,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other comments then from any? I just want to say thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I thank everybody else for your inputs. Meeting adjourned.